You want to dive into the stories and myths behind Professor Scienza's new series, but Italian isn't your thing. No problem. You find all the conversation translated in English in the new Mama Jumbo Shrimp book, an Italian wine pilgrimage with Professor Attilio Scienza. Now available in English on Amazon.
Welcome to this special Clubhouse session of the Italian Wine Podcast. Listen in as members of the Italian wine community engage in fascinating conversations about contemporary wine topics. If you enjoyed the show, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com and remember to subscribe and rate the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your pods.
Hi everyone, this is Beatrice welcoming you to the Italian Wine Clubhouse Ambassadors Corner, one of the top-ranked shows on Italian Wine Podcast. Here, our ambassadors get the mic to interview their favorite producers with total freedom. And if you miss it live, no worries, it's all recorded and dropped later on the Italian Wine Podcast. Today's guest host is Elena Barattini. Before finding her calling in wine, Elena had a successful career in sports marketing, most notably working with the Italian Olympic Committee at the 2008 Beijing Olympics and 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics. In search of a life-changing experience, she moved from Italy to London in 2011 and pursued her passion for wine. She began as a wine advisor at Fortnum Mason before transitioning into hospitality, working as a sommelier at the Royal Automobile Club and the Oriental Club. There, she was promoted to Head Sommelier Beverage Manager and completed both the WSET Diploma and the WSET Educator Programme. She later led the education department of Berkmann Wine Cellars until 2021 and now teaches WSET courses at all levels in various London's wine schools while providing consultancy to the on-trade. As an Italian wine ambassador and Langhe ambassador, Elena is passionate about sharing the rich diversity of Italian wines. Being able to inspire others and make a living from her passion is something she considers a true privilege. Today she's gonna interview Ondine della Feld of Tenuta di Tavignano in Marche. So Elena, Ondine, how you doing, girls?
Very well, thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Elena, are you ready for our 3 ritual questions?
Yes, of course.
Perfect. So how did you discover the wines of Tenuta di Tavignano?
It was accidental, as many wonderful things sometimes happen. I was attending a lunch in London some years ago where the wines of Tenuta di Tavignano were showcased. And I never tried the wines before. And for me, it was literally love at first sip. I mean, I have to be honest, I'll always be very fond of Verdicchio. But the expression of Tenuta di Tavignano and to be honest with you, there were wines that truly impressed me for the aging that they had. Yeah, it was really something that impressed me a lot.
So tell us, why did you select Ondine as your featured guest?
Well, not only the wines were impressive, but also this lovely lady. I met Ondine in the Marche just a few months after. I was there with, the Gita Scholastica of the Italian Wine Ambassador. And since then, we kept in touch. I was really struck by her positive outlook, their deep passion for Verdicchio. And I thought it would be wonderful to share with you guys.
That's amazing, and thank you so much. What are the learning objectives that we should expect from this interview?
Well, first of all, we would like to see the history and development of Tenuta di Tavignano, understand, of course, the vision and leadership of Ondine in shaping the estate as it is today. But also we would like to, explain the importance of Castelli di Jesi for growing Verdicchio in the Marche region. And of course, understand how vineyard site, sustainability, and of course, strategic estate decision contribute to expressing the identity and innovation of Tenuta di Tavignano.
That sounds like a really nice plan to me. So it's time for me to meet myself. And now I'm turning over the floor to you, Elena. Have a nice interview, girls.
Thank you so much. Hello, Ondine. How are you?
Hello, Elena. Very well, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you for being here. It's wonderful to talk to you after so long. We generally text each other, but we rarely have the opportunity to chat for almost 1 hour. So I'm really thrilled about that. And of course, first of all, congratulations for your Forbes Award for the second year in a row as one of the 100 iconic wineries, particularly for the expression of Verdicchio, which is an amazing achievement. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
No problem at all. So I'm going to get started with my questions, if you're happy to do so. So, of course, to begin, could you tell us a little bit about the Tenuta di Tavignano, what it is, the size of the estate, and what are the main production?
All right. First of all, the Marche region is not really well known around the world. Many people know Verdicchio, the variety, but they're not really able to locate it. The Marche region is on the east coast of Italy, just north from Abruzzo, near to Umbria, and in front of Croatia. So we are on the Adriatic Sea. It's a beautiful area, quite similar to Tuscany, actually, because we are on the opposite side of the Apennine Mountains. So you have to imagine like a hill roll area going down from the Apennine Mountains till the sea. Is a bit more wild, maybe, than Tuscany, because the area between the mountains and the sea is a bit more narrow, and the weather is a bit more dramatic than the other side of Italy. The estate is just on the south limit of the Castelli di Jesi, that is a denomination quite well known of white wines in Italy. And we are on the hills, more or less at 400 meters from the level of the sea. Tavignano is an estate of 230 hectares. We have 33 of vineyards, but we have cereals too and olive trees. And the estate, like is today with the vineyards and the production of wine, started on the 70s. It's been founded by my family, the brother of my mother, my uncle, and his wife. My family actually originally is from Sardinia. My uncle is from Sardinia, but he fell in love with this beautiful woman from the Marche, and he decided to stay in the Marche and to move there and to build together with his wife the family estate.
Thank you for describing also the location of Marche, because you're absolutely right. Not even Italian people sometimes are very familiar with this region, which is a shame because it's a really fantastic place to go. So go to Marche, yeah? Next, this is for the audience. If you don't know where to go on holiday, that is a really nice place to go. And thank you so much, because you already introduced the second question, because, of course, the estate has been founded in the 70s, as you said, but how you came along. Can you tell us a bit your history and your journey that brought you to become eventually the CEO of the Tenuta?
This is a story that's quite similar to many family business in Italy, because wine is definitely not an industrial production, but starts from families that hold the land and produce the wine. I wasn't imagining to be part of the wine business of the family because, as I told you, the winery was founded by my uncle, and so it's not directly from my side of the family, let's say. They didn't have children, Stefano, Aymeric, and Beatrice. So unfortunately, in 2013, she passed away and he was alone, and he called me, and I was completely in another world. I'm an architect. I trained in London. I studied at the Royal College of Art. I was very excited about my career, that I love architecture. I think it's one of the best study that a person can do. And I had my architecture studio that was working quite nicely in Milan, and I was teaching in two schools in Milan, the Domus Academy and another school. So I said to him, listen, I'm going to come and help you. It's going to be a bit difficult from Milan to really run the winery, but I'm happy to help you in a bit of marketing, and I can travel to visit some of your clients and to see how we can refresh the image of the winery and maybe to see if I can help somehow. It was like this for the first 2-3 years. And then slowly, the family business is really about commitment and the commitment of the family directly. I thought I could really train some of the collaborators on the winery to be part of the team and to really push the winery to go on. but too much sacrifice, and the sacrifice needs to really come from the family. It's not possible to leave it to someone else. So it became always more and more critical for me to have the two activities, and I dropped architecture and I start running the winery myself. Now my uncle will be 89, and since 2021, I'm running the winery myself. So it took me like, let's say, 10 years to learn this new activity or whatever profession, let's say.
Wow, that's impressive. It sounds almost like a second life as you describe it. But yeah, well, congratulations. I hope you really enjoyed the second part of your career. This is great. Great introduction. Thank you very much. Now, shall we talk a little bit more about the wine? You are the very heart of the appellation, as you mentioned earlier, Verdicchio di Castelli di Jesi. Verdicchio doesn't really grow much elsewhere. In your opinion, what makes this part of the Marche region and this part of Italy specifically so well suited to grow in Verdicchio?
Verdicchio is the variety Verdicchio is quite well known around the world. As I said before, more than Marche, because in the 70s, I think, between the 70s and the 80s, we had a fantastic family of entrepreneurs that they focus on Verdicchio, but they managed to produce and to do a big industrial production of Verdicchio, really managing to produce, I think, even at that time, around 1 million bottles, and they export all around the world. So this family, Fazzi Battaglia, managed to do to the Verdicchio what the Prosecco area did with the Prosecco. It was a white wine, quite popular, easy drinking, that was produced in big quantities, that managed to be exported all around the world. The quality was nice. It was fresh and with a very good price. So for the white wines, Italy managed to do a crispy, fresh, beautiful wine with a very acceptable budget. You have to think this on the opposite of Burgundy or the French production that was well known all around the world, but was with another price. But something happened on the 90s, and the Fazzi Battaglia had a huge interruption of the development of the winery. And Verdicchio with Fazzi Battaglia had some years of a bad reputation to be a very low-profile wine. And the wineries like Tavignano and other wineries in the Marche, they are beautiful wineries. They had, with a new generation since, let's say, the 90s, they had the challenge to bring up the Verdicchio. What my family did is start working not on an affordable wine, but we tried to develop the aging capacity of the Verdicchio, that is the most beautiful and outstanding expression of the Verdicchio. So Tavignano produce mainly Verdicchio. We have 33 hectares of vines, 21 are Verdicchio. So we are definitely well known for this variety. And we produce a fresh Verdicchio, but we are well known for the Verdicchio that does beautiful development on aging, on the stainless steel, on the lees, but the most important one is on the bottle. So our well-known Verdicchio goes out on the market not before 2 years in the winery.
Yeah, that's great. And I was lucky enough to try some of the Verdicchio that you made, and they actually aged quite a bit, more than quite a bit in the bottle, which is great. Do you think it's a matter of climatic condition, topography? Why this beautiful magic happens in the Castelli di Jesi?
Yes, because I start talking about the story of Fazzi Battaglia.
Oh, no worries.
I forgot to answer the main part. As I told you, the Verdicchio, when it's young, has a beautiful sapidity, is crispy, but is not a real strong aromatic grape. What makes the special definition of the Verdicchio is the weather from the mountains, that is the Apennine Mountains, that meet the sea the Adriatic Sea. So it's an area that stands between the mountains and the sea. It's ventilated. We have four rivers that divided in four valleys, the area of the Verdicchio, with this always continuous ventilation of the wind that is quite strong coming from Croatia. So really the Bora, we call it the Bora, is strong, full of iodine and salt, and the land was under the level of the sea. So we have area with clay, limestone, and alluvional deposit. So the combination between this grape that is not strongly aromatic, that really absorb the minerality of the land and the weather, make this grape really special and really good to be in that kind of climate. If you grow Verdicchio in other area, you won't have the same result. And this is why you don't find Verdicchio in all of Italy. It's really specific from that area. So the Verdicchio in that area really is the beautiful combination.
Thank you. That's great to hear because, of course, we appreciate this as a Verdicchio enthusiast, particularly myself. So talking about, of course, climate and, weather conditions, soil, I believe in what you say, there's a strong feeling about let the land speak. Yeah. And the estate is now certified organic, if I don't get wrong.
Yes.
And it seems there's a great focus on working in harmony with nature. So how important are sustainability and organic farming in your approach to managing the estate?
When I entered into the estate and into the wine business, certainly the first thing I thought is the organic approach. Try to not to use too many chemicals to preserve the land, but mainly wasn't really just to preserve the land, but mainly to preserve the people working with me. You have to imagine that worker that works on the vines stays in the vineyard from November till July every day with all the operation you need to do, and then you need to take care of the vines when the moment of the vegetation start growing, and you need to add some defense of the vines for the bacteria and for the fungus and for the parasite and whatever. And I imagine to be exposed to all the products every day for 20 years of your life, 30 years of your life. And we work with people that stay with us since many years. So I care about the land, but I care about them.
Well, that's very thoughtful because it's actually very refreshing, because sometimes we forget about the people that actually work the land and the vineyards, without whom there would be probably no wine. So that's very, very thoughtful. As you mentioned, probably this also will have an effect on how the grape respond to not using chemicals. Probably you can actually see more the terroir driven in the result, which is great. I would like also to ask you another question on Verdicchio, if you don't mind. So we know that Verdicchio can age. We know that it's a beautiful grape variety, and we all probably tried some wines that surprised us for their ageability. Why do you think it can do that? Why is it so capable to produce wines can age for so long?
I think that similar with what happened with the area of Burgundy, we have the same clay, is the blue clay, and the Burgundy area too was have some areas with marine sediment. It means that we have on the land salt. Maybe people will think I'm crazy, but to have a wine that have to last for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, I think the ingredient of the minerality and the salt must have a big influence on the capacity of aging. So this is one of the reasons. The other one is the genetic origin of the grape, of Verdicchio, like the Chardonnay and the Trebbiano, because Trebbiano is similar to Verdicchio, maybe not being so strongly aromatic. It needs time to really express. So this is one of the reasons, but Mainly, I think, is the weather and the soil.
Well, that's very interesting because you always learn something different, because we don't really know the reason why sometimes beautiful things happen, but it's also interesting to see different perspective. So thank you very much for this. And of course, Tenuta di Tavignano is very keen in winemaking Verdicchio with this kind of style. Now, you also work a lot in order to put Verdicchio on the map. Yeah, Verdicchio is known, but as you rightly said, probably at some point developed a bad reputation internationally, whereas your work is really all about putting Verdicchio on a map. So how are you contributing constantly to this, to build the international reputation of this great variety, or rebuild, if you wish?
Yes. First of all, I did a big effort to be part of the committee of the producers of the Marche and Castelli di Jesi, because to work with all the producers and the group of producers are the most important part of building an appellation. And in the old time, in all Italian areas, each family was always focusing on taking care of his own family. So they say that Italians, they take care of themselves, they work individually, and they don't really always make collaboration. But actually, what is part of Italy, this individuality makes all Italy. So many individuals, many family business together, they build Italy. So it's not true that everybody works independently. There's a movement that goes on the same direction. But still, we need to do more effort for that. So first of all, my work has been to build a group with the Castelli di Jesi producers and to try to travel and to do presentations together. So first of all, this was one of my targets, one of my missions. And the second mission was to insist on going and present in the Marche a Verdicchio with like the Misco. We do a wine that is quite iconic for Tavignano. So it's a special vineyard that is called Misco, is the name of the vineyard, is a southeast facing. And on the slope going to the direction of the river that is called Miscus, the Roman ancient name of the river. And the vine has already now 35 years. We maintain the vines with a very low yield, no more than 5-6 tons per hectare. And because the vineyard receives always a beautiful wind, it dries quite easily, and that gives us the opportunity to harvest very late. So we harvest in September. It could be half September, even the end of September. After soft pressing, it will stay on the stainless steel tank for 1 year on the lees before being bottled. And then we do another year on the bottle as an evolution. So all these caring we give to the wine have a beautiful result. But what is the effort here? The effort is to have the market recognizing high price to a Verdicchio is very difficult. So the challenge of the producers of Verdicchio is not to produce a good wine, but to go into the market and to sell a Verdicchio at a price that is similar to the big, beautiful white wines in the world, and not to be considered cheapest because it's a Verdicchio. So it's really not easy, but we spend most of our effort to do the Misco and the Verdicchio dei Castelli di Jesi with the best result and the best effort and the best investment we can do on the bottle, that we know that we need to have the wine growing slowly and slowly on the price in the market, because you always need time to consolidate reputation and to consolidate a range of price. So
first of all, because I can relate straight away with what you said about the sense of community, which is something that I really felt when I was there. This beautiful sense of community amongst producer, regardless the competition, regardless what everybody does. But I think it was clear to me that everybody is working to make Verdicchio great. Verdicchio is great, but obviously, as you said, the price is often a challenge for Italian producer, particularly when it comes to white wines. And as you said, of course, without getting together is very difficult to achieve a certain goal. And also, thank you very much for talking about the Misco, because I was about to ask you about the Misco. I mean, Misco is your, can we say that Misco is your flagship wine?
Yes.
Yes,
Exactly.
It's a great flagship to have. Mm-hmm. So yes, single vineyard, amazing wine that is very distinctive, but at the same time, very much the expression of what a great Verdicchio should be. Do you agree?
We shouldn't forget that the appellation is quite big, and in the sense that we have 25 municipalities that will create the Castelli di Jesi. A third of the appellation, it goes from 200 meters to 6 meters high, is hills and nearly on the mountains. And then you have an area that really arrive very near from the sea, where you have another kind of soil that will give other characteristic to the wine. Tenuta di Tavignano being at 400 meters high on the edge of the river and between the mountains and the sea, we have both characteristic of being high acidity, mountain style, and we have being on the edge of the river, we have our wines are enriched by the influence of the sea. And these made Tavignano quite original for the style. So it has some structure, but still stays quite fresh.
So what did you do from a business point of view, from a strategic point of view? What are the key decisions to maintain this strong sense of identity, expressiveness? Because of course you have the land, you have the beautiful vineyards, but from a winemaking point of view, you probably need to make some crucial decision. So what are these crucial decisions?
One decision that we have two iconic wines, but one is the more well-known, that is the Misco, but we have the Misco Riserva. And on the Misco Riserva, I went to steal some ideas from the French producers that are the number one on the wine, to add their knowledge to the Italian style of wine. Italians are more on the freshness, on the summer style, on the very easy drinking wine, while the French has established on fresher, very structured wine, wood, and a big history behind their wines. Italian wine is more well known to be easy drinking, fresh, summer, Italy, Mamma, and Italian coast. French is more sophisticated, wood, and fine dining. And I wanted to join the two things together. So I want to be with the Italian style, but to add something more created on the fine dining too for the white. So not consider the white just for the summer, but the white being a wine that can be drink all year and be paired with fine dining, with meat and cheese. So really looking what they made. So for the Misco Riserva, we did a beautiful project. We call it the Vintage Collection. So every year, every vintage, we put aside 1,000 bottles of the Riserva. So today I have a nice library starting 2013. So you can come to Tavignano and buy a box with 2 bottles of each year. So from 2013 till today, we have all the vintages in the winery.
Oh, that's great. I must come.
Yes, you have to.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I think, we talk a lot about Verdicchio. Is there anything you want to add? Because I have some other questions that are probably not so Verdicchio focused.
I think we said, maybe last thing I want to say is Verdicchio dei Castelli di Jesi.
Yes.
I just want to say, what does it mean, Castelli di Jesi? Jesi was a very important town, imperial town, built by Frederick II. He was the emperor of Roman Impero, that was German, actually. He was the time of the occupation of the Germans in that area, so it was 1300. And all those castles that developed around Jesi. So it's unique. You have to come and visit the Marche because you have on top of each hill an ancient village. Some were built before the Roman time and other ones on the Middle Age and other one developed with the Renaissance. And it's really a beautiful trip. And those castelli, they really express in different ways. So you will see that the next development of Castelli di Jesi, of the appellation, we will have a kind of definition of the different castles, that we will be able to define different style depending on which castle you are. So there will be one moment where the Castelli di Jesi won't just be a general area, but we will be able to recognize where the wine comes from and which castelli it belongs to.
Thank you very much for that, because, yes, as you said, it's a fairly big appellation, and of course the location changed completely the result in the glass. That's very good news. A little bit about the Mostri. You produce the Mostri range, which is a really, really fun, creative project. I tried the wines. They're lovely. First of all, if you can tell us what it is, because our audience doesn't know. What inspired this idea and what does it represent within your philosophy for Tavignano?
All right. So as you remember, I come from architecture. Architecture is creativity, is design. It's to create from nothing a building or a structure. And when they called me to join the winery, I was a bit afraid of being the wine business too strongly related to tradition. And when I've been working as an architect, my architecture was crazy contemporary. I love contemporary architecture. Being an architect today, so I can appreciate a temple, I can appreciate a Renaissance, and I can appreciate all the evolution of architecture. But building today and designing today, I really wanted to build something that it's from today and already part of the future. So I wanted to bring to the Tavignano something creative, a bit out of the box, and that could be completely different from the traditional collection that I find of the wines. So I start looking around what could be some wines that could join a new trend. And I realized that the natural trend was quite strong, and the people were looking for wines that would be less manipulated. So in the wine, something happened similar to what is wheat for the bread. For example, the bread we were eating, white bread was what was considered the best, and then suddenly we went back to brown bread. In the wine industry or the wine production happened the same. To clear a wine, to filter it was the maximum level of the development of the wine, and suddenly we went back and filtering the wine with less manipulation, not to have it so clear, and to be left inside the wine some residual of the yeast. I thought it was very interesting. So with the team of the winery and the technician, we started analyzing what was around, and we saw that many natural wines were horrible. Actually, we didn't like them at all. But we thought, let's try to produce some wine that are still well done, quite technically well done, but without filtering them and leaving some residual. So not to have a real strong brown bread, but staying in the middle between well-done wine and a natural wine. And everybody, I mean, my uncle, my family said that it was not at all Tavignano, that we couldn't do something like that. Other people helping me on developing the winery, they said, Ondine, but be careful because Tavignano is well known for the Misco, for the traditional wines, and then if you do something too different, people are going to be confused. But all those advice didn't stop me. And I said, okay, you want my help, you need to have part of myself too. So I insist going into that direction. And when we start thinking of the labels, because, everybody was saying that we shouldn't have done wines like that, I call them the monsters. And they became the monsters of Tavignano because they were not perfect wines, but they were wines with all the imperfections. And it became really exciting project. And in 1 year, we've been very successful. And those wines, now they are part of the collection, even if we always say every year we're going to stop, but we have always orders. And now we do around 50,000 bottles of those wines. So we have 2 pet nuts, one of Lacrima and one of Verdicchio and Sangiovese, and one, it's a skin contact. The pet nuts, they have funny names. One is called Pestifero, that means naughty boy. The other one is called Birba, that little rascal, let's say. And the skin contact is called La Vergine. It means virgin for being less manipulated. And so I must say that we will enjoy to produce those wines. It's really a little pop-up, a little amusing area of Tavignano.
Yeah, I'm not surprised they're very successful, particularly probably amongst young people, because they're fun, because they're fairly, I would say, particularly the packaging. Did you design the labels?
I didn't, because I was too old already when I thought. I was already 40 years old when I thought of those bottles. And even if I work as a designer, I wanted the labels to be really to come out from young people.
Yeah.
They didn't know much about wine. And so I launched like a small competition between students, and a student from the Pratt University of New York did those labels. And he told me, I went around looking all the labels, but they are so boring. I want to do something different. I said, okay, try. And he made it.
Yeah, and they're great. I mean, the one in the audience that never came across to i mostri, I would suggest to go in the website and have a look at the labels. They basically are very stylish monster, but they're beautiful. And I think they are great also to, keep empty these bottles after using.
Yeah, it's true. And you said they are wine for a young audience. But actually, we have some Michelin restaurants that have it as the entry bubble wine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that young, as you know, but I like them. I see these easily in a London wine shop, kind of, East London trendy place on top of your, Michelin star restaurant. Why not? Because the quality is there.
Exactly. So it's like a bit it's nice because they stay between the two worlds. If you want to have it different, you can have it in a very sophisticated restaurant, and you have your bottle well done and a big bank. And if you have a winery shop with natural wine, it really stands very well on the shelves and as a style.
Yeah, well done. I have a question now that is not really wine related, but I have to ask you this. Now, we know that our industry is a bit male dominated. It's changing, and there's nothing wrong with that. Historically, it has been like this. But of course, as a woman and a leading woman that, of course, navigates through generational transition, what has your experience been like? Did you see any changes in the role of women in the wine? What was the challenge, if there was any challenge?
When I joined the family business, even as an architect, is a male world. So I was used to be in a male profession because even in architecture, you have many women, but most of the time they do interior. And the male will do, the man will do the structure and the architecture. But what happened in the wine business is that on the family business, it became very difficult to make from this business something that will bring a nice income for a family to live. So most of the many wineries were sold to big groups, and other wineries that have to adapt to a new development of the wine business. The man of the family didn't want to stay because they preferred to go to the bank or to other sectors where the salary can be better. So it happened in Italy that the woman decided to sacrifice and to keep the winery because they didn't want to sell. So you see a lot of women today because in the families, most of the boys, they didn't want to sacrifice so much themselves. So this is quite strong in Italy, and I found quite beautiful and quite interesting. And another thing of the wine business and women, sometimes if you see in history, in the mythology, the women were very important because they were the symbol of the earth and the sentiments and the heart and the caring. And the men were the symbol of the war and the most rational side of the wine, so Dioniso and the Baccanti. What I would love to see more in wine and of the woman in the wine business, I would love to see a bit more heart. Sometimes they become a bit like men. It would be nice to be more sexy and to be more near to the earth and less manager. I want myself to do an effort just to join this business with the same mentality of the masculine mentality and to do it more related to the earth, related to the passionate side of our feminine capacity.
Your point of view is very important. I think we need to wrap it up. It's almost 5. Just a very last question. What's the plan? What's the plan for the long term for Tenuta di Tavignano? What's your goal?
I had many plans, and then we had the COVID, and then another crisis, and then a war, and then another crisis, and then... So I don't have plans anymore. I like what I'm doing, and I live every day like it's a beautiful day, and I wait for the wine to get mature and to develop, and I want to stop having too many plans because the movement of our world today is a bit too crazy.
Yeah, it's very difficult to make a plan. But yeah, let's hope for the best. Well, Ondine, thank you very much for being my guest. It's been wonderful talking to you. And well, I guess Bea will join us now.
Yes, that was a girl power interview. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Elena and Ondine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to you too.
Thank you so much, Guy, for spending time with us. So for those who are interested to participate, just send us a DM through our Instagram or mail our Italian Wine Podcast producers at info@italianwinepodcast.com. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening in. Thank you so much again, Elena and Ondine. And that's a wrap from Italian Wine Podcast. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao. Grazie.
Ciao, bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through italianwinepodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.